Well, things are as they have been in Pittsburgh for a while now and are about as good as they will realistically get for what is the foreseeable future. That is for as long as they are employing the vastly overrated and criminally underqualified head coach of theirs that didn't deserve the job in the first place, continues to fail miserably at, and whose largest claim to fame is mediocrity. Because yes, once again, the Steelers are expected to retain Mike Tomlin. Shocking. After yet again another late season collapse. But hey, he did finish over 500 people in the regular season, that is, yet again. And again, he loses in the playoffs to drift further below 500 in that part of the season. You know, the only part that matters. Tomlin now falls to just 8-11 in his playoff career after yet another humiliating playoff beatdown. This time at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens, 28-14 in a game that wasn't even that close. It was 21-0 at halftime, and for the game, the Ravens outgained Pittsburgh in total yardage 464-280. It was the Steelers' fifth consecutive loss to end this season, and their playoff winless drought has now reached 2,920 days as of today, the day of writing this video, which translates into roughly 8 years. 8 years since the Pittsburgh Steelers have won a single playoff game. While Mike Tomlin's personal losing streak now sits at 6 consecutive postseason losses, dating back to the end of the 2016 season. And the supposedly legendary Steelers franchise joins a list of just 8 other franchises that have failed to win a single game for the last 8 seasons now, which includes the Carolina Panthers, Chicago Bears, Arizona Cardinals, Las Vegas Raiders, Miami Dolphins, Denver Broncos, New York Jets, and Atlanta Falcons. That's it. That's the list. And here are the amount of coaching changes all of those teams have had during that time. Yes, you are reading that properly. Every team, every one of them, have fired at least 3 coaches during that 8-year span. But not only is Tomlin routinely retained, he's never even on the hot seat, as the Steelers continue to give him long-term, lucrative extensions, as he is currently making $16 million per year, which makes him the 3rd highest paid coach in the league.
It's a complete crap.
And of course, I know, Tomlin did win a Super Bowl for Pittsburgh, but that was all the way back in 2008. It was Mike Tomlin's 2nd season on the job. Tomlin, in fact, started his career with the Steelers, making the playoffs in 3 of his first 4 years, going 5-2 in the playoffs and making it to 2 Super Bowls, winning the aforementioned one of them against the Cardinals at the end of the 2008 season. That, however, was a long time ago with a completely different looking staff. Please remember, if you will, that at the time, an unproven, undeserving Mike Tomlin was hired by the Steelers at just 34 years of age. He inherited a team that was brimming with talent, both players and coaches, which was just 1 year removed from winning the Super Bowl in 2005. On the defensive side of the ball at coordinator was legendary Pro Football Hall of Famer Dick LeBeau, whose player personnel included perennial All-Pro and Pro Bowl talent such as 5-time Pro Bowler Casey Hampton, 2-time Pro Bowler James Farrior, 5-time Pro Bowler James Harrison, and 8-time Pro Bowler Troy Polamalu. Running the offense, meanwhile, was Bruce Arians, Super Bowl winning head coach with the Buccaneers, and his unit of players was led by, of course, soon-to-be first ballot Hall of Fame quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, coming off that Super Bowl win 2 years earlier. So just how much of Tomlin's early 5-2 playoff record and that Super Bowl win was actually his influence as opposed to an established Super Bowl winning assortment of players and coaches that he was lucky enough to inherit? Yeah, well, since his Super Bowl loss to Green Bay, Tomlin has been just 3-9 in the playoffs since, and that Super Bowl loss was at the end of the 2010 NFL season. So over the last 14 years, the Pittsburgh Steelers, under the stewardship of this delicate genius Hall of Famer, of which, allegedly, every team in the NFL would be interested in if he hit the open market, have won 3 total playoff games. 3 in 14 years. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who are supposed to be the golden standard in NFL history. Over that span of time, the Chiefs and Patriots have 16 playoff wins each. The 49ers have 13. The Seahawks and Ravens each have 9. And during that time, we have seen the Patriots and Seahawks both fire their coaches. In fact, the Patriots have now fired 2 coaches during that time. I guess there actually is a standard in some places still these days. But the only standard in Pittsburgh is the one set by Mike Tomlin, that of mediocrity and losing the only important games he coaches in.
I don't think a lot about the things that I say, to be honest with you.
For a guy who was celebrated unanimously by jock-sniffing mass media for never being under 500 in the regular season, now holds one of the most putrid winning percentages in the sport's history during the playoffs. Tomlin's .421 career playoff win percentage is now 3rd worst in NFL history for any coach that has appeared in at least 15 postseason games. The only guys with a worse percentage than him are Chuck Knox and Marty Schottenheimer. Knox, who resigned after contract negotiations broke down or was outright fired 4 times, while Schottenheimer was fired 3 times. And these were highly successful and decorated coaches during the regular season. In fact, Schottenheimer has a similar looking resume to Tomlin, as Tomlin sits currently at 183 and 107, which is good for a 63% win percentage, while Marty Schottenheimer had a record of 200 and 126, which is roughly 61%. In fact, Schottenheimer has the 7th most wins ever in NFL history, and yet was fired 3 times for postseason failures. Tomlin, though, has somehow achieved more job security than a Supreme Court Justice of the United States or the Pope. This is how a great franchise dies, with indifference towards losing and an acceptance of failure. And there is no doubt about the fact the Steelers as a franchise have flatlined. The only way to resuscitate them now is for ownership to grab the paddles and fire Mike Tomlin. But we all know that is never going to happen. So just cozy up for what is more of the same, Pittsburgh, for many years to come.